I'm watching the end of the movie. So if it's the groundskeeper, I'm going to be pissed. What the fuck? Oh, no, it's exactly who we thought it was. Yeah, I know. We knew that was your motive the whole time. You literally said that numerous times. Can we just wrap it? Can we just wrap it up now? Fine. Awesome. Okay. Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and Giallo enthusiasts. This is Tanner Leeser, your host for The King in Giallo. Let's do another unscripted movie review. I literally just finished The Night of the Scorpion. I literally started recording as I watched the reveal, and then I paused it right as the credits started, and here I am. So it's been no break at all from when the movie ended. Anyways, whatever. Okay, so let me get some of the, like I say, the logistical stuff out of the way. The Night of the Scorpion is a 1972 Spanish Giallo. I think, I'm not positive. I'll mention this in the Forgotten Giallo Films episode, whether this is a Spanish Giallo or a Spanish-Italian Giallo. I think it's Spanish-Italian. But anyways, directed by Alfonso Balcázar. Written by Alfonso Balcázar, Giovanni Simonelli, and José Ramón Larraz. And okay, I thought it was the same person. Stars José Antonio Amor, Daniela, Giordano, and Nuria Torray, as well as Teresa, Gimpera, and Gioia Desideri. Okay, so this movie is, again, I have IMDb up for the name, so I'll just read it from what it says there. A young widower with his new wife returns to the mansion in which his first wife died under strange and unexplained circumstances. Okay, so with all of these unscripted movie reviews, I'm always going to tell you, whatever my thoughts are, but I will always say check it out for yourself. You might like it. Everyone's opinions are different, so if I like something, you might not like it. If I don't like something, you might actually like it. So yes, check out The Night of the Scorpion. I also saw this one on the Internet Archive, thanks to Kelly Colt. Thank you. But okay, so the movie starts with these people at a funeral. I will go through the majority of this movie without doing spoilers, but I will also probably spoil at the very, very, very end, but I will warn you before that. But again, you can also just check it out online and come back and watch this. The movie starts, characters are at a funeral. We meet this young man, Oliver, and then we cut to a scene with him, and you find out it's his stepmom, Sara, and he seems very guilty about the death of his wife who just died. So he's now a widower. And the conversation is basically like, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't do it. Oh, well, you were drunk type of thing. He leaves the house. He leaves the whole mansion up on the hill. It's very clear that Sara, his stepmom, is very kind of into him. Okay. Cut forward now, and he's with his new wife, Ruth. His last wife was Helen. His new wife is Ruth. He comes back to the house. He brings her there. He's telling her, oh, my family has lived here for generations. This is her first time meeting his family. You meet at the house, you meet his sister, Jenny, and you also meet the stepmother, Sara. And, well, it's clear that whatever happened with Helen, we don't know. We have an idea of what happened, but we also know that Oliver was drunk, so maybe he did kill her. Maybe this was an accident. It was ruled as an accident, so he's off, scot-free. It's not like he got arrested or even investigated. But like us, we're like Ruth in this. We're going into this and we're going to start uncovering what we can. Well, there's a lot of there's a lot of chatter. There's a lot of talking behind the scenes, or like the two women, Sarah and Jenny, will talk, or Oliver and Jenny, or Oliver and Sarah, and they're all kind of talking about whatever was going on with Helen previously. And we are treated to some flashbacks, which show us some of these flashbacks, though, I will say, are kind of contradict each other. So one will show something else will show something slightly different. Well, in some cases it makes sense because Oliver was drunk in a lot of these flashbacks. Yeah, Oliver is like a raging alcoholic, or at least he used to be. So this is one of those Giallo movies where you have a very small cast of people. And so it's actually a little bit more difficult to decide who the killer is because it's so small and so focused. A lot of people are given a lot of attention, a lot of evidence to why this person might be, or this person or this person. But I will say, the movie right away in that first scene kind of paints Sarah as the main red herring. A little bit, obviously, Oliver as well, but they're both painted as the most obvious people. And so going through it as the audience, you kind of have to decide, okay, is the movie trying really hard to trick me and make me think it's these people, or not? And this movie, in terms of Giallo films that I've previously seen that it kind of reminded me of The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, in terms of this troubled man, and he brings a new wife to his big mansion, and there's all these weird people, who live in or around the premises. They're all kind of talking behind the scenes. And then it also reminded me of Libido, because also it's a man bringing his new wife to the house where a murder occurred, the family house. It's most similar to Libido and The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave without being either as well written, as well acted, as well directed. And it is its own movie. It does have its own plot going on, and through the flashbacks of what was going on in the past, we do find out some things. So we see that his wife Helen was, I guess, hooking up with his sister Jenny, and this really bothered Oliver, and he, was he's just drunk, like, "Are you with my sister?" And in this one flashback that we see very quickly early on, she's like, "You're drunk, you get off of me, you disgust me." And they're kind of bickering, and Sarah's there too. I don't think Jenny is there, but she was, because they just went from this room to like the not the awning, what would you call this, whatever, they're on like the second floor, on like the banister, or the rails, the little handrails leading down into the I don't know the names of buildings, the names of parts of the building, but they're in like the main foyer. Anyways, in a drunken rage, he kind of throws her against the banister or whatever, and she falls down and dies. So that's his recollection, I guess, of what happened. As the movie is going along, Ruth is asking a lot of questions, and she's kind of piecing things together. And what I will say about this movie that is kind of interesting is we do see someone in black gloves going around. Ruth seems like she's not safe, that whoever the killer is going to be targeting her, but we're not exactly sure why. All we can do is deduce, everyone else's motives. And the different motives that we get are, well, Oliver maybe, but, it's like he's not really a raging alcoholic anymore. Sarah is absolutely, the stepmother, is absolutely in love with Oliver. And then Jenny, I guess, is just kind of a psychopath, or just likes torturing animals, is something Oliver says. And then we have the butler, and the butler is just kind of there. But what's funny is, okay, so let me pause real quick and say, I was not really into this movie. Like I said, it felt reminiscent of some other Giallo films, and it just was not as good. And this is also the third Giallo movie that I was watching today, that all of these are forgotten Giallo films, very much so. And this one really felt like I can understand why this one is not really talked about. I've never heard anyone talk about this movie. The only things that really were like, oh, that's kind of interesting, is like the first night that Oliver and Ruth are back at the mansion, I think it's the sister. It's either Sara or Jenny. Honestly, I kept getting the women, the sister and the stepmother. I kept getting them mixed up for like the first half of the movie. But one of them in her room takes a painting off, and then she's got this hole, and she's looking through the hole, and she's spying on Oliver and his wife in the other room. And it's so funny when you see like the peephole from the other side. It's like it's on the mantle. There's a clock. And then all of a sudden you just see like an eye looking through, and it's like this big. It's like that big. You know, when you see a peephole in a movie, usually it's really small, where if you were to be looking in the direction, you might actually have to be like, this is like, you could look across the room and be like, ah! You know, it's so obvious that it's just a fucking hole through the clock, like, as someone's looking. Yeah, that was interesting, but again, it just looked stupid, but sure. And then the other thing, and this was I found interesting, because the movie I was like, at a certain point I was already kind of like really trying to stay invested, and it was like, okay, they're giving all these people different setups for their motives. Just show it to me, or do something, get the ball rolling. Well, Ruth contacts this, I think he's a private investigator, and he comes in, and for a brief moment I was like, the movie is saved, because this is played by Carlo Gentili, or maybe it's Gentili. So funny enough, I will mention this about him because I don't know if I've said this in any of my videos. This guy is a set decorator and a costume designer. First and foremost, if you look at IMDb, he's got 24 credits as a set decorator, 16 credits as a costume designer, 14 credits as an actor. Well, who is he? Oh, well, he was Inspector Baxter in Death Walks on High Heels. He's Inspector Sereno in Death Walks at Midnight. He's also, another movie I will be briefly covering, he's also in AAA Masu's Good Looking Offers Her Services, which, I'm sorry, I don't like that title. Anyways, I really like him as Inspector Baxter. So I was like, oh, this guy, I thought he was great in that movie. And it's so funny because for clearly not being like first and foremost an actor, being a behind the scenes person, I think he's a good actor. I'll say I think he's a great actor, but I mean, I don't know. It's also a lot of these, it's hard to really judge in a movie where everything's being redubbed, but I really like him. And so I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm actually invested again. And he's going and he's talking to Ruth, and then he starts going around the house, and it's clear that everybody is suspicious of him. Like, what are you doing here? You need to leave. And he says, well, I was actually hired by the lady of the house, so I'm actually paid to be here. Thank you. And he talks to the groundskeeper, the random guy who's not given any other focus, but it's like, but he also works there. And then in the basement of the house, he gets killed. And the inspector, I think he was called like Il Dottore or something. What was he called? Il Dottore. Yeah. He just gets his throat cut. And I was like, great. There's still 25 minutes left of this movie. Damn it. And funny enough, I'll probably show this at the very end. So that's like the first murder. Well, I mean, excluding the thing at the beginning, the death, but we don't see it. But we've got someone in black gloves going around. We don't know who it is, but they're clearly like sabotaging things. And Ruth thinks that she's in danger of being killed because she spilled a saucer of milk, and Jenny's cat like drank from the milk off the ground and then was like dying. And then when she tries to tell Oliver, they go in there and like there's no mess, the cat is fine, and like the milk is completely full. And so she's like, oh, am I going crazy? What's going on here? But we know there's someone going around, and this killer is probably the architect of the initial death. So what happens is when someone gets killed, moving forward, it all of a sudden will cut to like photos, just stock photos of the main cast of Oliver, Jenny, Sara, and like the butler for some reason. And I maybe also, I think this girl's name was Clara. I think she was the maid. Sorry, he's not the butler, he's the groundskeeper. I don't remember if it cuts to Clara as well, but it'll just be like da 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 da. Like, these are your suspects, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget. It was so funny the first time. And then when someone else gets killed, it does the same thing, except, you know, like one less person. Because it's like, well, obviously they can't be the killer. Okay, so it's like, who could it be? I don't know. They're actually. It's just funny that they lumped in the groundskeeper. Like, I don't recall them giving him any motive or any reason to think it's him. But you know, like I said, I completely missed that. Oh, let me mention this. This is another thing. This is something I talked about in the review for Death Falls Lightly. I think it's so funny in a movie when you see like the photo of the husband or the wife, and it's like for their partner. Like if it's a picture of the wife, you know, like laying down and it's like, for my wonderful husband, it's like, that's fine. But when it's a picture of the husband, like it's a fucking like acting headshot. Like that's what's so funny. And you see that in this also. There's just a picture of Oliver, like, or whatever he's posing, and I'm like, dude, what is this? What is with the photo? And it's just like a headshot. Like they literally asked the actor, like, oh, can you bring your headshot today and just give it to the editor, like, or give it to the set decorator? We're gonna use it. Whatever. I had to get that out there because it was funny. But anyways, yes. So moving forward, and then we get a flashback or whatever where Sara, the stepmom, like comes in and smothers. I couldn't tell if this was a flashback or if this was happening right now, but whoever smothers the woman in bed next to Oliver, whether that was Helen or that is Ruth, and then when the body falls over, you still don't see who it is, like slits her throat, and then we find out that was just like a fantasy, like that didn't happen. Like, okay, thanks movie, didn't really need that, could have saved 3 minutes. I forget how this happens, but a piece of like bloody cloth is put in this water bin, this thing that the faucets use. I guess they don't. I guess that's what you do when you don't have plumbing, is you fill this giant thing of water. I don't know, it was news to me. But the maid comes in clean up, and like the water's coming out reddish, and she goes and she checks and she finds that someone put these bloody rags in there, and she tries to like make it look like, you know, not conspicuous, like she was looking around, and then the stepmom comes in and tells her like, leave now, I want to take a bath. And she starts freaking out, like, oh my god, there's like a murderer in the house. And she tries to quit, and Oliver's like, what do you mean, you've been here since you were a little girl? Like, no, you like what's your reason? And she's like, oh yeah, ever since your wife died, you know, just things have been weird. And he's like, weird? What do you mean? Then all of a sudden she goes into like the hallway, and she runs into Jenny, the sister, and she's like, I want to take a bath. Can you go down and like make sure that we have hot water? And she's like, oh yeah, yes, of course. And then she goes down and runs into Ruth, and Ruth is like, I got to get out of here. Like, let's go into town. Like, we can run some errands. Do you want to go? And she's like, yes, please. And she's like, okay, I'll meet you in the garage. Clara, the maid, goes into the garage, gets in the car. All of a sudden, like Halloween, someone comes up behind her in the backseat, cuts her throat. And then again, it's like, da. These are your suspects. And then Ruth goes in, finds Clara's dead body. And then all of a sudden, the killer like knocks over a paint can and like is stalking at her with like a straight razor or a little stupid little knife thing. And the straight razor was in the last movie. And she runs, you know, and then she runs into Oliver, and she's trying to get him to go into the garage without being hysterical. And she's like, oh, let's go for a drive. And he's like, okay, let's take my rolls. And she's like, no, let's your car's too big. Let's take the other car. And they go in there, and it's like, car's gone, you know, no sign of anything. And he's just like, oh, well, I guess Clara must have taken the car. You know, she sometimes takes it. Well, whatever. And this is what was then funny, is it's like, okay, she just found a dead body, and she then starts acting calm. Oliver is like, why don't we leave? Like, why don't you and I just go, just leave and never come back? And she's like, okay, that's fine. You know, like, yes, let's get the hell out of here. Even though at this point she still isn't sure if it's him or not. I'll say spoilers because going forward, I'm basically just going to get to the end. But so spoilers. He's like, okay, well, I got to just go grab a few documents. Okay, so you know she's left alone, and then the phone rings, And this part was so funny because she just kind of like walks over to the phone and answers it, and I'm like, bitch, like there's a killer, like you just saw a dead body. And it's there's no moment before what you call an acting where it's like you have to think about what just happened beforehand, and so now you're coming into this, you know, this new scene with that energy. She had no moment before, so she's just kind of like, it felt like this scene was completely divorced from what was happening like in the previous beat. Oh well. All of a sudden then the sister Jenny gets killed. Okay, it's really narrowing it down to it's either Oliver or Sara or the groundskeeper. They really want us to think that he's still a potential candidate. And anyways, what happens then? Oh, okay. Well, she starts running. You know, the body of the inspector was like pulled up, and it's like a chase, not really. And this is this is what happens, and this is my authentic reaction to what happens. So if it's the groundskeeper, I'm gonna be pissed. What the fuck? Oh no, it's exactly who we thought it was. Okay. Okay. Oliver.
Why did you do it, Sara?
I wanted you so much.
Yeah, I know. We knew that was your motive the whole time. You like literally said that like numerous times. Can we just wrap it? Can we just wrap it up now? Yeah, so it was the person the movie was telling us who it was ever since the beginning. And yeah, whatever. Okay, so I did not really like this movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm not saying it's a bad Giallo. It was just, I could probably not watch this movie again and I'd be fine. There's other Giallo movies that I've seen that I liked less than this, and joke's on me because I'm going to have to actually cover those movies in full because thanks Vinegar Syndrome, you just had to, you know, release those movies. But anyways, that's my little unscripted review for the Night of the Scorpion, whatever this movie is called. Go ahead, check it out. If you haven't seen it, you might like it more. I mean, if you didn't watch the spoiler part, I don't know. Anyways, that is all I've got for today for that movie. Yeah. So, have you seen this movie? Have you heard about it at least? Have you never heard about it until now? I mean, I did do the... If you're watching this, this is going to be coming out after the Forgotten Giallo Films series 1972 part 1 video, which will cover it. So, you know, you might have heard about it from that video. But anyway, so it is available. You can watch it, as I mentioned earlier. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. I didn't intend to talk this long about this movie. But yeah, this is Tanner Leeser for The King in Giallo, and if nothing else, I'll see you next time.